Big digression, but I know a couple of years ago there was, you know how they have these sort of new words of the year?
Yeah.
There was the word created, binfluencer.
What's a...
Have you not heard of a binfluencer? No. So now I'm learning about influencer, but binfluencer is the person on the street who puts the rubbish bins out first. And everyone follows them to, it's recycling week, and they follow suit. That's the binfluencer.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's a proper person's responsibility in a neighbourhood, isn't it? Someone starts it off.
Because somebody's actually paying attention.
Someone's looked at the little map or whatever it is, the calendar, and everyone else just follows them. And God forbid that they get it wrong, because the whole street's screwed if they do.
G'day and welcome to Global Horizons. I'm your host, Rob Malicki, coming today from Ngunnawal country in our magnificent capital of Canberra. And thrilled to be joined again on the podcast by Elissa Newell from Edified. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you back here because the work you guys do is fantastic and you've always got something interesting to talk about. And I saw on the program for the AIEC conference that the latest results of the mystery shopper are out. And obviously, this is like into a time sequence now, so it's so interesting to see how these things evolve over time. I was like, Elissa, come on, can you come and share something with me? And for those people listening along, this is getting presented tomorrow. You'll only be hearing it after the fact, but I am very happy to be hearing about it before everybody else here at the conference.
So insider insights.
I know, at least 24 hours.
I know you'll be able to apply those and get really ahead of the competition. Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. I love it. There we go. My secret evil purpose of running a podcast is to get a scoop. So also, firstly, maybe my background for those people who haven't heard of this project before. Do you want to give us the sort of two-line or, however long it takes to explain what it is that you guys do and the sort of valuable information that you draw out?
Yep, absolutely. So we run a syndicated mystery shopping program. So we do it every year and we involve a large sample of universities around the world. We hire international students this year. Next year it's going to be domestic students, but we kind of rotate that. We hire them. They make some inquiries to universities about studying there, and colleges and some pathway colleges as well in the mix. And then we evaluate and see what kind of responses they get. How good's the service? How quick is it? And then we provide universities with a bit of information on how they benchmark their service levels compared to their competitors, and usually some really interesting insights back at a sector level, recommendations on how people can do better, and I guess make the most of those leads that come in and actually have half a chance at converting those into applicants and students at the end of the day, rather than, I guess, having those inquiries sort of sit there and feel like heaps of work for nothing.
Just as you were talking, I was wondering if this becomes like an uncomfortable experience for some organisations, because it's kind of like giving people the truth that maybe they're not ready for, or that they're just not aware of at all,
Yeah, it can be. I have to say, so I mean, we present the results to the universities afterwards. You have to do these sort of sessions, and sometimes it's, tough.
Yeah.
Really tough. And no one wants to hear that they're doing a bad job for students. No one turns up to work every day to do, a crap job. You go there because you think you're doing well. And it is hard to hear if students aren't feeling that on the other end of the phone or the email or the WhatsApp message or whatever. But actually this year, I have to say the biggest standout that we've seen is it's actually been a really big improvement. So we've done this research for 5 years now. We started in the UK and then we've done 4 rounds of global research. And what we've found, so back in 2022, which was the first research we did globally, we have a sort of scoring systems out of 100, and the global average was 51 out of 100. It's pretty woeful.
I remember that.
Pretty woeful. It was just barely a pass mark, if you want to put it like that. And now 4 years later, we're at 61 out of 100.
Yeah.
And Australian unis are averaging 70 out of 100. And, we've kind of come on your podcast, do news stuff, whatever, conferences, banging on and on and on and on about what students need, where we're falling short of the mark, what needs to be done to improve it. I think maybe people are starting to listen or getting the resources. It's not always the will. Sometimes they don't have the resource, the systems, the tech, but it's starting to come in, and that's good for students. They're getting a better experience, getting better answers to their questions, better advice when they're trying to figure out, what's the right place for them to go and fulfill their dreams.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of this, you might try different messaging and things like that, but sometimes it's just about process. It's just literally about the order of operations for things to fall into place in the right order and meeting people where they are, which I know, a lot of people listening along might just be like, yeah, dude, that's kind of obvious. But I really feel like some days we get drawn into our, into the quagmire of our inboxes and projects and everything else. And it's very easy to just lose sight of that user experience that we're trying to create.
100%. And I think that's probably the main mindset shift that we hope that people are making, is instead of viewing inquiries as a full inbox or work that needs to be gotten through or things that need to be ticked off, but viewing them as people, prospects, people who could become a real student at your institution. And what we ask our mystery shoppers is, at the end of their experience, based on it, would they be likely to continue with that uni or not? Because that's actually the point. Has this interaction been something that turned me off or has kept me interested in you? And actually, about a third of the time, it has turned students off. That was where we were at when we first started the research. Now we're in a much better position where unis are starting to get that right. Yeah, I mean, there's a few practical things that need to be done behind that, but I think more and more the message is getting through, and you're starting to have teams say, oh, yeah, I guess our job is more recruitment, it's more sales, comfortable using those words rather than seeing it as sort of an admin workload. Yeah.
Do you have some sort of like top level observations or recommendations that kind of across the board universally, this is sort of something we're shooting for?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously every institution is completely unique, and having your individual results is a massive advantage because you can see your particular blind spots. But like as an industry as a whole, like where we're crushing it and maybe where some of the weaknesses are.
Yeah, I can. I think the first thing I'd like to say is there's a bit of a myth sometimes that we need to get back to students really quickly. I mean, you do. We do need to reply to people. If we're not replying, we're kind of losing already. But the speed isn't actually the most important thing. So what we found is that the students who got a personalised, really tailored, really warm reply were 7 times more likely to say they're going to continue than someone who got a quick but impersonal and generic reply.
Yeah.
So that sort of says, spend time on the students you care about. Like, take the time. It actually is going to make a difference. That's key, I think. And maybe if resources are thin, well, wait another day. One more day is not actually going to kill the lead, but sending a bad reply might.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's like the game might not be won in replying fast, but it could be lost.
Yeah, that's it. Too fast, too short, not enough info.
Yeah. And let's face it, like I'm just thinking about putting myself in students' shoes as a consumer and prospective student, so not just consumers in like just general human being interacting with the world of, in any kind of way, but as a prospective student, if I want a fast response, I'm going to ChatGPT. Like the end, like if I just want to know a little bit about an institution, degree, whatever, I'm probably going to ChatGPT way more than Google. Yeah, just asking those brief questions. But I think if I want to interact with somebody, I want my needs met. Yeah. I want to be treated like a human, not like a freaking, I don't want to be treated by a robot.
No, I think that's it. And so we actually ask students, so we do like a webinar thing when we present the results, and we get some of the mystery shoppers to front up and talk to their experience. And one of the questions I always ask them is, why do you inquire? Unis say the information's on the website. Go find it. They might even just send the student the link back to the website to go and look at that same information. And the two themes that seem to come out is either, A, I checked the website, I read it and I understood it, but now I want to know something more specific, or I want that reassurance that I understood it correctly for my exact situation. So ChatGPT can't really help with that.
Completely.
The website can't really help with that. Sometimes you just need a person to give you that reassurance who knows how it all works to tell you you've got it right or wrong, as it might be. The other reason students inquire, and I thought this was really, really interesting. So we had this year the first time onshore Nepalese students ringing up universities, having a phone conversation on behalf of their sibling, who was in the future to come. And the feedback that we got from those Nepalese students, they said, I thought on a phone call I was going to be able to find out the X factor. I was going to be able to find out something extra, some sort of insider info, like a bit of a spark, something that would help me to understand why that uni was different to the other one. And a lot of the time they weren't getting that. They were just getting the kind of more standard information or very similar to what could be found by anybody. And that was disappointing for them. So it's definitely a job to be done. Some students, not all, but some are wanting to be sold to. Tell me why I should study there. Convince me.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Little digression, but just into technology, for example. So what we've built with Choosing a Uni is, a tool that uses AI, but matches people against a personality, right? So when a response comes out and this isn't like being very clear for the audience, this isn't a sales pitch. I'm just interested in the process about this, and how it fits for students. But when a student goes through and does a behavioural inventory, and then they get matched up to a field of study, and the technology tells them this suits you because for you, this aligns with ABC. What we see with people responding to that is that it's enchanting because it's literally connecting otherwise generic information, like a biology degree, you do ABC. It's connecting it with their personality. And I believe that kind of experience is going to become the expectation very quickly, very, very quickly. Not because of us necessarily, but
No.
just because
It's
the
possible.
personalization and it's possible.
Mm.
And therefore, what do you mean you're sending me to a website? This website doesn't automatically adjust for me. Like, what is that? You want me to do my own research? I don't get it. It's true, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, I think we had one of our headline findings was don't send students on a scavenger hunt, because often what happens is student will ask a simple question. The uni will reply by copying in the whole template. They've asked, can I get whatever, eligible for this scholarship? And we get the whole background to your scholarships policy and all the different things available, and buried in there somewhere is the answer. But it's not like, here's the answer to your question. It's not like how you'd talk to someone face to face.
yeah.
And I think that's what we've got to get closer to.
Yeah, exactly. And look, even just thinking about that X factor, like the X factor is probably different from person to person, right? Like if you're a basketball player, you want to know that, that they've got this club, or that, they do really well in this competition, or this facility is available here, there, or anywhere. So I think the world is changing so fast. And if you're not, looking at that, there's some slack in the system, right? People will accept it for a while, but it's coming fast.
I agree, but tech isn't going to solve everything. And some of it is like there's a real challenge internally at institutions around knowledge management and making sure that frontline teams actually have access to, selling points or understand the different personas of the people who are, and that can be done through research. That can also be done by, a bit of time, and AI can actually help with generating, selling points for different personas, but you kind of have to take that time and then equip the teams with that.
Yeah.
And not expect often kind of frontline, junior level staff to think up great stuff on the fly for every type of student who they interact with. So there's a little bit of work to be done behind the scenes. And I think part of it is also if you're having a phone conversation or even a chat, you get a little bit of a to and fro. But if it's that static emails and things, which still are a very common channel, sometimes, we feel comfortable getting information in that format.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of clues in the inquiry form as to what this person's personality might be. So you might have to make some guesses based on field of study, nationality, some of those things that research can tell you general trends about what those students are interested in and what might float their boat.
And from memory, the mystery shopper is like multi-channel, right? Like the research goes out and prods at different channels and the way that institutions respond across different channels.
Yeah. So this year we had phone, email, web form, live chat, peer-to-peer, and for the first time we looked at WhatsApp. I might take a minute to talk about that because this is what Australian institutions are not doing. It's really still very early days, but we included WhatsApp this year in the research at the request of UK unis. So
nice.
We had 40 UK unis in the study and 20 of them were actively using WhatsApp for taking inquiries. Now, there are also plenty in North America. I think there's only one Australian institution in the survey that was tested on WhatsApp. And I've just got a couple of the stats here. They're amazing. So it was the fastest and most responsive channel. So 100% of inquiries through that channel got a reply and 80% were within 2 hours.
Wow.
And
so pause, automation involved in that or just?
No. Well, there was automation, but that would have been, we don't count that. So there's automated like acknowledgements, thank you, whatever. That we just note that, but we actually count the time based on the personal response.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Now
we were fair or maybe generous, I don't know, in the methodology where we did inquire during the university's business hours. So we weren't asking them at 2 a.m, but still that's very responsive. More so than what you would find when we tested, say, Instagram a couple of years back. Sometimes it was days to get a reply. So that's amazing. And then what the students said.
Can I just comment on Instagram for a second?
Yeah.
Just because it's a bugbear for me. Like I'm a content creator. A lot of what I do is content. So I'm constantly putting out content on all these kind of YouTube, TikTok, Insta. And I'm constantly surprised by how you put up a piece of content that I might have spent some time on that's independent that might actually be giving a uni a pretty good rap. And by default, when you tag it, it sends them a notification. I would say 90% of the time, I have no interaction with those institutions.
Crickets, yeah.
And I find that that's extraordinary. You've got user-generated content from an independent authority, but not to blow my own trumpet, but that's...
Yeah, you're not doing it because they've asked you to. Yeah.
Haven't asked me to.
Yeah.
And I can tell you just by having been mugged by students on every campus in the country who've seen my content, I'm an influencer. Have I ever told you? This is the most wild thing, Alyssa. So I just
never heard of influencer as a term.
Yeah. It was Devashi Desai.
Oh.
I heard the term from him, and I'm like, holy crap, is that what? Pardon my language. Is that what I am? And he's like, yeah. Sorry, I'm going to. I loved it. I love you, man. Yeah, dude. Like that's exactly what you are. It was awesome, right? It's like, wow, mate. Like, thank you for giving me my title.
Big digression, but I know a couple of years ago there was, how they have these sort of new words of the year.
Yeah.
There was the word created, binfluencer. Have you not heard of a binfluencer? No. So now I'm learning about influencer, but binfluencer is the person on the street who puts the rubbish bins out first. And everyone follows them to, it's recycling week, and they follow suit. That's the binfluencer.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's a proper person's responsibility in a neighbourhood, isn't it? Someone starts it off.
Because somebody's actually paying attention.
Someone's looked at the little map or whatever it is, the calendar, and everyone else just follows them, and God forbid that they get it wrong, because the whole street's screwed if they do.
We're totally going with that. So yeah, influencers, like, this content's gone up. It's like clearly my content's been viewed millions and millions and millions of times.
Yeah.
And yet this content goes up and nobody gets back to you, or just hits, simple reshare. That's it.
Yeah.
That's just, to me, it's just like such obvious exposure, brand exposure just being left on the table.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. I think that connecting in with the recruitment objective is sort of a missed trick with most institutions and their social channels. Some do it really well, but yeah.
So we were talking WhatsApp anyway.
WhatsApp, yeah.
We were on WhatsApp, and I'm fascinated by this because, I mean, if you know, right? Like, just WhatsApp groups is just the communication channel now, and I feel like we're still only just getting into that. It's only going to get more and more important.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting. So, yeah, really responsive. Students loved it. 2 out of 3 said that based on that experience, they would be likely to keep engaging with the institution. It was good enough that it kind of kept them feeling positive, which is the highest rate that we had out of all those different channels that we assessed. So it's good, and it's worth then looking at. When we do the research, we get some data every year from UniQuest, who is a K company. Actually, they just launched in ANZ, but they provide us with data around student trends and things. So we make sure that the mystery shopping sort of reflects what the current opportunities or preferences might be.
Mm-hmm.
And what they found in their trends is that the usage of WhatsApp has just gone up like 5 or 6-fold over the last year. And that when students engage on WhatsApp, the average number of times that they come back to that chat through their journey is 5 times.
Wow.
It's like opening up a little direct line of communication with just someone that they can keep going back to.
Yeah.
Much more than emails, sort of that chain of backwards and forwards that is happening on that sort of chat-based messaging thing. And yet it's not what institutions are working with. We noticed in the research, because we can analyse what the students, they send us their little screenshots and things so we can see there are still people, individuals doing WhatsApp conversations on their own handset. Their personal number is up on the university website or, company number, but it's one handset. And then on the complete other end of the scale, you've got people who've got fully integrated, properly business accounts that are going into the CRM and being dealt with and tied together into the student record. That's where we need to be. The other end isn't scalable, and kind of you start putting that student demand onto that channel, you're going to have people thumb RSI, just kind of having to type out all those messages.
Very tactically, are there tools like, what are those tools?
As in for back-end kind of tools?
Just integration. There must be, is this your kind of Hootsuite media planning, or are there other things that people are using? Yeah. In fact, that's completely wrong, but yeah.
No, there are. And a lot of, let's say using Salesforce or whatever your CRM is, so there'll be plugins and things that you can get. So I know some unis will use their telephony platform. I think Genesis is an example of a telephony platform that can also integrate WhatsApp. I found out today St. Orbis does the same thing. So they'll integrate WeChat and WhatsApp through into your CRM platform, so that then, people who've got a job as a call center or inquiries person, they're dealing in the same window and environment for every single channel that they're working in. And importantly, it all gets tied to the same student record. So we're not got one chat happening over there and then an email comes a week later and no one, knows who it is. It's all tied together. So that's where it needs to be.
This has been amazing for me. Like, I'm just thinking for what we do, right? Like, we're still on email.
Yeah.
And I've sort of seen this the WhatsApp. Oh, I'll look at that at some point. But that's just elevated that as a priority for us. You know, we're not even selling to the students. We're just conveying information. We know they don't check their emails. Or we know that all the emails that they don't even use real emails anymore. It's true, isn't it? Everyone's using the disposable email. And we see it in the CRM.
Well, if you've got an Apple phone, why wouldn't you?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
So that channel, now I feel like we're on the transition of that where it's just changing over, but the new generation's coming through and they're just like, sharing my email, no way.
But WhatsApp's so personal. Like, it's actually sharing your personal number.
WhatsApp's the place. Yeah, wow.
It's really incredible. You put an inquiry form and you put a phone field on there and say, give us your phone number. That feels so uncomfortable for so many people. I mean, I put fake numbers in. I hate giving my phone number to anyone, actually, but students do all the time. Put 000, or they'll complain. In the feedback to us, we sort of say, how did you like the form? Like, it felt invasive. I had to put my date of birth and my phone number. Why do I need that to find out about your Bachelor of Business? You don't. So then WhatsApp, by that kind of extension of thought, that should be like crazy personal. But yet we're really happy to do that because we get the kind of level of service and personal feeling that they want. So
fascinating. Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm just thinking that, wow, there's so much to unpack in that, isn't there? Like understanding best practice around that right now. I just feel like the people who are moving fast, like you said, one uni in Australia is doing that at the moment?
One uni was involved in the benchmarking,
okay, I'm with you.
But my estimate is about 1 in 6, just from kind of scouring websites and tallying it up on our end, about 1 in 6.
Yeah, wow, like that is competitive advantage right there. If you're listening, I reckon you need to send some money to Edified for that. Don't you think? Like,
we should take a commission from WhatsApp. No, we're not actually trying to sell that channel, but there's a lot of research, obviously, that says that's a preferred student channel, and mystery shopping at the first time, just incredible to see the variety of practice and how sort of, I don't know, Australia, we pride ourselves on being quite far ahead and innovative on the student recruitment front. We're usually leading, but not on this one. The UK's got it for now.
Tell you what, people, if you're listening along and you're looking for spending money somewhere, the Global Horizons podcast could use a sponsor. We would love to have a sponsor. And I'm quite kind of half serious here. Like we are looking for sponsors because, what we do is independent media and it's created itself. So we're grateful for all of the support that you can give us. The end prompt. What else should we talk about in terms of mystery shopper? Or do you want to move on and talk about, just more industry-wide stuff? Or is it you got a bit more gold here for me?
Oh, I could just share one, maybe like good little pat on the back for the Aussie institutions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Often we talk about the problems and then, I don't know, we just do that internally in unis. We always focus on what the problem is. And I'm a consultant, we're brought in because it was a problem, So I just want to flip that and say what Australian institutions are doing well. And in fact, the best in the world at these things. So they are tailoring information, like when they're replying to students, giving tailored to the country, to the course, to the study level, not just giving the generic blob of stuff. They're 4 and 5 are tailoring, 4 and 5 giving bonus info, so sharing extra things that are useful to students, not what was specifically asked. So that's really good. 3 and 5 are giving selling points or sharing positive messages about either the uni or the courses. So the student might have asked how to apply, but instead of just giving the apply instructions, saying, that's really great that you're interested in blah, blah, blah. It's an excellent course because of blah. Here's how you apply for it. So weaving in a little bit of a selling point. Mm-hmm. 9 in 10 shared a next step and guided the students. Here's what you need to do next. Whereas that kind of rate isn't there in other countries in the world.
That's awesome. Yeah.
The last thing I'd just say on...
Can I just pause on that?
Yeah, okay.
And just to draw an analogy is that, when you're using ChatGPT or another thing and you get to the end of what you want to do and ChatGPT will always prompt you. Would you now like me to turn that into a slide deck for you?
And you think, why not?
Why not?
Wait, now that you've offered that, I didn't know that's what I might have needed to do next. But as soon as you can kind of plant that idea, and it's not always apply. Sometimes it's too early to say the next step is apply. Sometimes it's come to our event or go chat with have a conversation with a student ambassador, on our peer-to-peer platform. Whatever that next step is, it's helping students along of what the next kind of thing in their decision-making might be.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I love it. And so the reason I wanted to point that, because I feel that aligns with Gen AI, who are going to just expect this out of the box.
Yeah, and I think that bonus info is also part of what you get. It's you don't get just this specific answer. You do get your answer, but then there's all this other stuff that, I never really thought of that, but that's good to know. So I think that it's kind of like the university is in the power position, or the college or whoever. They're in the power position. They know what needs to be done next. They know what else you need to be thinking about. We should have done the research. You should know. And then, providing that proactively to students. So look, on the whole, Australian unis are doing really well at that. They're doing the best in the world. No other country or region that we looked at matches those kind of rates. So like big thumbs up on that. Yeah.
Any other thumbs up for the Aussie? And here we're talking unis. Actually, I'd like to just ask you about other types of providers in a second. But anything else on the unis? Or we've thrown enough flowers.
Yeah, look, I'm not that generous. Yeah, so mostly it was unis in the research. There were some pathway colleges in Canada. We had a lot of the colleges. So we're focused on higher education providers.
I just wanted to ask, so obviously this is not a scientific question that I'm asking, and maybe you don't have data to support it, but gut feel, do you have a feeling as to whether this may or may not be different for other types of providers? Was that a leading question? We didn't actually talk about this before the research, but
we're just kicking off our mystery shopping research for schools. We're looking at the international schools sector, so kind of like your big school networks, Malaysia, Singapore, through Europe. So we're mystery shopping them with parents and higher level year students. So to see what's going on there. My colleague Carly Puncher's running that. If you want to talk with her, but one of the I'm getting myself a pat on that. So absolutely honest to the audience. People be like, that was contrived. Okay, so absolute declaration. You guys pay me nothing. Like I'm not complaining about that. Like, but there's no financial thing between. But I've actually just asked a good question. It's a good question.
Just happens to be on the money.
Timely. Yeah.
Well, and congratulations to you guys for actually doing the hard work.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like this thing where you go, we had the same thought process. Like, this is really good. People are getting value out of it. People are coming back and again and again. Hey, there's other people that could make use of this. So that's why we're looking at domestic students next year, because it's kind of this additional segment. And I think what we found through that global benchmarking is actually there's good learning from country to country. No one's got everything down pat. And so sometimes having those case studies or those, we take little snapshots and we take people through what works well, what's not working well. And that kind of sharing really helps people join the dots and learn. So we're doing the same for schools and, domestic next year. So it'll be interesting. We'll have, in 12 months' time, we'll have a little bit more of a view on whether they're the same sort of issues cropping up or whether it's a bit of a different bag. Yeah,
nice.
Not sure.
Awesome. Should we move on then and just talk about Australian higher ed sector in general? How do you feel about where we are right now and what, challenges we're facing and what Australia might need to do as a collective to sort of take on some of these big things that we're facing? I know you do a lot of thinking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have to say I feel a little bit worried because I think that we've obviously been through a pretty tumultuous time in terms of policy and all of that. And now it feels like there's a bit more calm and a bit more certainty, and maybe we're moving out of that sort of crisis, kind of there's a big fire, we've got to deal with it now. So that urgency is going away. And I think that we work in these cycles where we know there's some deeper problems. Let's call out all the things that we know. Housing is something that keeps coming up. English standards keeps coming up. Students and visa rorts and dodgy colleges. And there's all these same headlines that just keep going around and around. Well, I worked in international for 20 years. We've got the same headlines that go around. And we haven't solved them. And then when times are bad, we think, we've got a social license problem. We need to go and fix these things. Oh, no, but then our NOSCs are in and, we've got a little bit of an increase now. Okay, we've kind of can leave that for another day. So I feel a bit worried and frustrated that we're not maybe got a clearer vision, a more united vision as a sector on where we want to be. What's our purpose? What do we do?
If you could wave a magic wand to fix that, what would that look like? Is it a $50 million fund for IEAA to be able to combat negative narrative when it arises? I'm just thinking Minerals Council of Australia, who, when stuff doesn't go their way, they basically just drop $40 million. Okay, different scales, but they just drop a whole bunch of money to try and swing public opinion.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a purist, so I'm going to be like, no, we're going to need to roll up the sleeves and go back to the drawing board and kind of say, this is what our nation is looking at, the challenges over the next few years. This is what Australians want and need. This is what universities want and need, what other, parts of the sector want and need. What are our goals? And get buy-in on those. like we've got Jobs and Skills Australia just put out their report sort of saying that international education can have a role. Hello, we have a role to play in as a workforce solution. Well, that's a goal. Like that's actually something we've never kind of put a number on. We've never actually tried to do anything about. There was no kind of, well, education and migration, we should never speak about them in the same sentence. But like, why not? What if that was part of what we're trying to do as a sector? The UK's done their research on alumni, and they have described international alumni as the UK's BFFs. And I don't know if you saw, there was a stat that said people who studied in the UK 25 years ago, I've got to get the stat right, something like 70 or 80% of them recommended the UK as a study or holiday destination in the last 12 months.
Yeah, wow.
Like the ripple effect. So, maybe that's what we've actually got an objective around our soft power or our global kind of reach. We say these things in sort of vague terms. We don't put numbers on them. We're not all lined up, kind of. Everyone's just pursuing their own individual things. And I think that's a conversation we need to have. Dirk and I have kind of chewed the fat on that a few times. And, we're doing a session tomorrow where we hope people roll up their sleeves and start to maybe just think about what the future could look like if we really put our minds to solving some of the challenges or taking, hold of the opportunities that are actually there.
Elissa Newell, thanks so much for joining me again on the podcast, and once again being very generous with your results and your knowledge to share that with the audience. I genuinely, love what you guys do, and I feel like this focus on the end user, it's obvious in some ways, but it's just becoming more and more critical for the way that the world operates. I'll sidebar that just by saying, to me, this comes down to trust, right? Like, in a world where any content can be generated, whether it's text or audio or video, how do you know what to trust and who to trust? That building of trust and maintaining of trust is just going to become more and more and more critical. And that's about the user experience and treating people individually, meeting them where they are and servicing that. And I think that this work that you guys do is just such an important step towards that. So hats off.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm really happy to talk about it anytime.
If you've enjoyed this episode of the Global Horizons podcast, consider subscribing to our newsletter. Search for Global Horizons podcast and then just pop in your email address, and that way you will never miss out on all of the critical international education news that you need to stay up to date with. This episode has been produced on Garrigal Land in Sydney. Our video and audio editor is Len Zamora, and I'm your host, Rob Malicki. Have an awesome day. See you in the next episode.